Hi, Linda. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
We're back to talk about the current scenario, which, as I'm sure people realize, is it's pretty
Crazy.
intense. It's pretty intense stuff. We
I
thought
did
that.
learn a little tip off YouTube, though. I just want everybody to know. When you're drinking a mug of vodka or wine, they say blow into it, and people are think, oh, you're drinking tea.
Okay, that's funny. That's funny. So we thought that, like always happens with this guy, with Trump, we thought that because they were forced to pull back on the Minnesota thing, for pretty obvious reasons. In fact, I did a video yesterday where I said to people, be careful because this guy, he never accepts anything. As soon as he feels like there's some kind of pullback, he just goes and does something else. It's just his nature. He'll start a fire somewhere else, and right away, we saw all kinds of things, and it's continued. I mean, between all the different things they're doing, and now he's obviously really upset about the way Melania's documentary is being laughed at.
Do you think he's really upset?
Oh yeah, oh totally. He's really upset. Well, because this hit me this morning. Sometimes I'll see the broad pattern around something and something else that pertains to it. I forget, that's part of it too. So I mentioned multiple times in videos that we've got an eclipse coming up in the middle of February, which
Yeah.
is in very late Aquarius, because the sun is in Aquarius. So to get a solar eclipse, you need the moon in the same sign. So that's like the middle of the month. It's a sort of a 3-day thing, peaks on the 14th or the 15th. One of those days it peaks, right? So I talked about how it's in this horizon line. It's really important when something touches a major point in your chart. But then the obvious thing too is the zone is the marriage house. So that's why Melania's, she's making a lot of money from it, but it's getting a very poor reception, and it's really embarrassing for him, because the one thing you know about this guy is that whatever else may be true, he's always, he watches TV all day long. So he sees everything that is being said about him. He's ultra conscious of what is being said, and what is being said here and in Europe and in Australia. Apparently in Australia, they're especially mocking it. Because why? Because that's the other thing. He goes out of his way to mock everyone, and then he's surprised when they mock him back.
Yeah, he talks trash about everybody.
Right. I mean, you talk trash, probably people will talk trash back. So, but this is the thing with eclipses too, is that they peak around that time, but it's the zone. So many times you see a buildup 3 months, and then the following 3 months minimum, sometimes longer, right? So it's
Yeah.
the zone, because anyone could have told this guy this was probably not going to work. What he's doing with her, as well as, for instance, the Kennedy Center. People that go there are typically more democratic, so they're obviously out to, show you that they're not approving. So then you're going to get low ratings, as he puts it, right?
Yeah.
And I saw this comedian made a joke in Australia. He said a thief went into his house. He said they didn't take anything, but they left 4 tickets to the Melania documentary. Yeah. So, the other thing too is that with her, the one thing is, we know she's a Taurus. So whatever else is true, that eclipse cuts across in a stressful way to her chart as well, right? But again, big deal. She's making all this money because they talked a lot of
$48
people
million
into.
dollars she'll walk off with.
Exactly. But something else, though, where you see that in some sense the tides are changing, because Bezos is part of this conspiracy. In the sense of he contributed money to it and all this, but he didn't show up. He's starting to notice that it's probably not a good idea to get too close.
What do you mean
Things,
didn't show up? What to the
there was
premiere?
something that was attended. It was supposed to be attended by really high-powered people, and he didn't go, which is a bit of a tell, because he's been really cozy with
Well,
Trump.
and you know what? That's a loss for him, that movie, and he'll take it off his
Oh,
desk.
he doesn't care. He's got enough money. For him, it's like you or I spending, $100. It's
She's a
ridiculous.
Taurian sun sign.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, I haven't looked at her chart in quite a long
So
time, but yeah.
that's that coldness, because you can feel that Taurian coldness that some Taurus women have. It can be very,
Actually, that usually is one of the things that is possible because her time isn't known, but she might be, she might be, in fact, I have it here. Let me take a peek. She might be Aquarius rising because, yeah, she's Taurus. No, I know what to call it. She has Sun conjunct Saturn. So Saturn adds a lot of reserve. If you're a Taurus, it's a lot more proper and reserved and so forth. But the reason she might be Aquarius rising is it would be the opposite sign to his Leo rising, which is common, that you get
yeah.
partners flipping the signs. And that would also attract the eclipse energy toward her as well, right? So yeah, it's a
And may I say too that, he takes to heart things that are a huge embarrassment and loss.
oh
She's just happy to get the money. He's like not wanting this to be such a huge embarrassment.
right. I
And
mean, yeah, yeah,
his daughter and whoever else was in the first season of his presidency deliberately wrote that speech that copied Michelle Obama word for word. Remember when she did the speech? She went up there and talked. That speech was given to her by Ivana.
yeah.
And they laughed their asses off. And the public went crazy. And then she told Trump, your daughter gave me Michelle Obama's speech. Because she wouldn't know to check it or make sure. And he didn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
He may have told his daughter, shame on you, but he didn't do anything about it. So she made a fool out of herself. So there's something more to this movie thing that is affecting him.
For sure, it's an embarrassment. The other thing, I'm just looking at Melania. The other cold energy is Moon in Capricorn. Moon in Capricorn is the most disconnected from feelings. Capricorn, it's all about business and all about staying in control and so forth. So projecting that kind of energy. And if you put Aquarius rising, that in a sense adds even more. Although that might be wrong. That's just a guess. So,
Yeah.
but bottom line, yeah, it's not good, and it's all coalescing on him. Where then the reporters keep asking. I heard this question asked more than once. Are you going to be pulling back in Minnesota? And at first he was saying, oh yeah, I sent in Holman and that. Now he's contradicting Holman. He said, no, we're not pulling back. We're got to keep the American people safe because, if you're pulling back, it means it's admitting defeat and he can't do that. So
Can't do that.
tough times. And the thing is, the zone is really hot. I mean, almost anything could happen during this period, this week that we're in and going into the eclipse, including something to him. Very possible, because
Right.
all of this is very stressful. That's the bottom line. It's got to be really stressful when things aren't working. You have to pull back. You have to try new things, which are likely to blow up. But one of the things that I really want to stress to people is that the most important thing, sometimes you kind of overlook it and you think, oh, big deal, because you're so used to it. Most important thing is look how quickly you are learning about these things. Look how quickly, all of a sudden, you've got the Tulsi Gabbard, hiding in the background and like, what is she doing there? You hear this whole story. They don't want you to know that. People like this would prefer under the radar, but they can't because it's so difficult. The media infrastructure in this country is phenomenally, overwhelming. And now they're extra motivated also to look for it. Plus, his administration is filled with people constantly trying to knife each other. That's the other thing I've been hearing, that there are a lot of fights at DHS. Because for one thing, he doesn't mind when people below him are fighting, but that doesn't make for good teamwork. Then people will leak on you. It means stuff keeps getting out. This is a problem. It's a problem because then you involve more people who maybe are worried, like in Congress, we got to do something about it, whatever. And so that's not good news. And the other thing, I don't know if you noticed this too, that is very interesting. He's trying to get rid of the chair, the Fed chair. So the new guy that he's proposing, that guy is not that bad. And you know why? Because he wants to get him approved. He wants Congress to approve the pick, right? Which means he can't just put some Tom, Dick, and Harry there who know, he was trying.
Initially.
He was trying at first, but so in other words, this is good news too, because on that level, the system is holding, right? Something in the system is saying, if you don't do it this way, it's not going to work. And so even though overall, yeah, there's cause for worry, of course. I mean, look at what's happening. Venezuela, Iran, the Minnesota, all over the place, there are fires. And some of them are 100% bad for the U.S. It's not good for the U.S. to be fighting with allies in Europe. That's not a good thing. That's
No.
terrible, So, yeah, but still, there are points of what I would call, optimism on the account of the system holding up.
So we know Melania's movie is going to crash and burn.
Hmm.
And he gets real angry. He does mean stuff. And Don Lemon was just arrested. I see that as a nothing burger. I almost see immediately judges saying, get him out of here.
No, it's this is more of the same. Look, he was doing this with Comey and with Letitia, James. I mean, there is an established legal system, thank God,
Thank
and
God.
you can try really hard to append it, but it's tricky to do. It's too fast. It's too fast to get in
all
there.
the people working in the Justice Department don't like the smell of this. A lot of them have walked away. Pam Bondi's up there saying, I ordered this. And, everybody's walking away like she stinks like crap. They don't want to have nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and the other thing too is, sorry, but no one gets out of their planet cycles. Nobody does. I'm always trying to get out of mine. Can't do it. I'll be in one and I got to get through it. And I mean, I just hope I can continue getting better because I have gotten better, but it's by no means easy. And I'm not running a big company, much less a presidency. That's where things get sticky because the energy gets super amplified. Practically all of these people, him included, it's getting more and more problematic the more we move into the spring. It just stops you. Now, the worst thing that it can do is it'll stop you, period. It'll just, you're done. Like, I mean, gone from the earth, right? But
Right.
you could just be half gone. That would be a big problem as well, and then just basically frustrated and held back and, and checked. And what for me is most encouraging is that it's in the very zone that he doesn't need it to be in because it's in legal judgments, immigration matters, foreign affairs, all of that. So it's a problem. It's a big problem.
So my question to you is the government going to shut down today?
What's your sense? I hadn't even pondered that one.
Well,
I had heard that there was a deal, but now it looks like there's no deal again. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
because guess who threw a fit? Lindsey Graham.
What was the fit about? What did
I
he say?
guess yesterday he went crazy. He didn't think that they should give any money to ICE. They're talking about giving a little money to ICE to calm the waters till we get over this. And he's saying, no, you got to cut them off totally.
Lindsey Graham said that?
Lindsey Graham, according to the information, hold on, let me double check. Okay, hold on. Did Lindsey Graham throw a fit in the Senate yesterday about the budget? Yes. There was notable confrontation involving Senator Lindsey Graham in the Senate over the budget.
Yeah, but wait, I'm reading here that he's refusing to endorse the bill,
Yeah.
not because of his love of DHS, but because he's annoyed about that provision. You know how they tapped his phone records? That's what I'm reading. So you're saying it's because he doesn't want to give money to them.
Yeah, he doesn't want any money going to DHS.
Well, either way, I don't think if it's Graham, he'll probably pull back on that. My guess
Yeah,
is no.
because he does whatever Trump tells him to do.
My guess is that he just makes noise.
It may get shut down tonight, though. We may have just a little. I felt the shutdown. It didn't feel very long.
That might be even if there is, it's in a way the least of this guy's worries, because it's just, well, I'm not even going to get into now the political sense I might or might not have. Just the astrology. The astrology is brutal. It's not good. It's not good when you've got too many planets pressing on you, things just don't go well. And he's not wired to stay contained, and do what you can and don't go beyond. He's always wired to break through and do something new and start a different fire. And too many fires, too many problems. So I doubt
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
So listen, did you hear about China? Kim Jong Un? Not Kim
No,
Jong.
that
About.
I
So apparently, I looked it up too to double check. They're saying there was an attempted coup by his military, but they're on chat and all those other things. They're saying we can't really tell you it was a coup, but 3,000 of his military generals and families got arrested.
you're talking, but you said you're not talking about North Korea. You're talking about China.
No, I'm talking about. Sorry, I said Kim Jong Un. That's North Korea. I mean, what's his name in China?
Xi Jinping.
Yeah. Of course, they're
Okay.
keeping it hush hush, but they acknowledge that this did in fact happen, and 3,000 of his generals have been kicked out and arrested.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his day chart. He's a another Gemini, man. This is the era of Gemini. It's so crazy. Um, yeah, I don't. There's not a lot here to suggest that he's gonna come crashing down. I doubt it.
Oh no, he caught it in time, and because of the way they rule, it was easier. If it happened here, maybe Trump would be gone, but they were able to stop it before it went.
Yeah,
I found that interesting. Now he's changing all his military, which will make him more paranoid.
yeah, yeah. No, and the thing is, China though overall, China's in a power zone. Although a lot of it is because Trump is helping by the way he's behaving, but the chart for China comes out of 1949 when Mao set up the revolution, because that hasn't really changed. I mean, they've just been moving it from one person to another, and that chart is really empowered since 2023. They're in a power zone. Pluto is crossing the ascendant, and that's like where country gets really super strong in the way they deal with the world. That's what was happening to the U.S. back in 9/11, why they started the war and in Iraq and all that kind of thing. But it doesn't mean it's going to be necessarily successful. It
Oh,
just
I
means
was surprised to hear it that they would dare to do that. I was very surprised.
yeah, no, I did hear the story. It's, by the way, this is a recommendation for people as well. If you want good information that you can trust, now, this is my opinion too, so to each his own. Maybe you'll do it and find fault, but there's a free podcast that The Economist puts out. You can put the app on your phone, The Economist, and they do every single day. They do a 30-minute, like a world report, and they have really serious reporters, and they cover everywhere. I mean, you'll hear about Tanzania, North Korea, China, and the story was there around how China is surprising because he put in all these people, but then all of a sudden there's a purge going on, and they give you some of the interesting details. But you can learn about everywhere, Europe, Russia, the war in Ukraine, where they try to get at the facts, just tell you this is what's going on, this is what's likely to happen. They do a lot of
Oh, I
both
have to get
siding
it.
because of being, objective, but it's good.
Yeah, I'll have to get it. But yeah, I was very surprised that they made that. Because actually, he, as a president, the comments he's making, unless it's not him, about Trump are demeaning, and he's like, this guy's got to go. And I was like, yeah, he sounds reasonable, but we don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Well, apparently the story is that he, of course, how he let this out. Sometimes it's funny with these people that they make these plans and then people learn about them. But according to what is known by most reporters, China has this plan to be militarily ready by next year to invade Taiwan.
Yeah.
And the way Trump is approaching the world, if he's still around, or maybe even if he isn't, if you look at just the GOP, maybe they wouldn't help Taiwan to defend themselves. It's hard to say. So next year is a potential problem that way because they want to claim the island back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although with Taiwan knows that you have to be so careful with wars because if you attack any country that is in any way ready, even if they're small, they're going to give you a really hard time and it could become a huge problem for you. So, I wouldn't be too sure if I were Xi Jinping on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he, like you said, he's smart, so he knows what he
Yeah.
can swallow.
It's true. Yeah. No, I mean, part of what's happened that is so frustrating is that there was always this talk that the U.S. as an empire was losing power, but Trump has accelerated it. He's made it so much worse by breaking ties with the people that are holding back the tide because, in the end, it's all money. And the American economy is the biggest still, but Europe as a group is almost equal to the US. That's two big, big, big economies that make a big difference. And then China is smaller than both, but they're growing. But you don't want to help them by, like, for instance, now Canada is going to China to make deals. Europe is making deals with China. Like, this is because of Trump,
Yep.
Without Trump, that would never happen. So it's incredibly sad. But at the same time, we're here. And I think the big thing, because we can talk about this, cover it from 50 different angles. The comeback from anyone watching this, I guarantee you, is, yeah, you guys are saying all this stuff, but now he's going to try to stop the elections from being done properly. I don't see that. What do you see? Have you noticed any change?
Absolutely not. And I'm not
No.
even worried about the ballots they stole from Georgia. It's all state run, the elections. The Supreme Court will turn on them. You just can't randomly go in. They recount those ballots at least 10 times. Trump had judges that wanted him to be right. When Rudy Giuliani said, Your Honor, we've got proof they stole the election and they threw all that Dominion thing and fancy schmancy. And one judge said, okay, bring me something. Just give me something I can go by. He said, yes, sir, it's in my car. I'll be sure to bring it to you. Never got nothing. Never got nothing.
No, I mean by the way, in the end, I'm sorry, I don't care about these people. I hope he's always saying that he hopes that people rot in hell. No, I hope you rot in hell. You nearly, what did you do to those two women, saying that they were bringing in USB things? I mean, they were having death threats. Honestly, I don't care about you at all. I could care less. If an anvil falls on your head, I would just say, well, I guess that's tough luck. Because that's brutal.
What gets me. He talks trash about the Academy Awards and stuff, yet he insists that they put his wife's movie in there. To hell with you. Nobody has to do anything.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be pretty funny. Maybe they'll nominate it for the worst movie in history.
They'll probably get the Raz Awards.
They'll
But let me ask you something real quick. With Melania, what does her aspects look like around the times you saw that were really bad for Trump?
Let me check again. I don't think it's not the same. No, you mean like health and things like that, or?
Yeah, is she going along nicely? But the thing is, she doesn't care about him that much to really be affected. If he was to go, it's probably a relief.
Well, there's an interesting one here this one is interesting. Because this year and next, okay, that is super interesting because, okay, so she's April 26th. So her sun is at around 6 degrees Taurus, and Pluto is going over that this year and next year, that's a pretty unusual transit. Some people never see that transit because that planet has such a huge orbit, right? Pluto over your sun is always a big, big change, right?
When did it come in?
It's just building now. It's going to become effective this year, like all this year and all next year. Pluto over the sun, big changes. I'll let you pick up on
big
that.
changes is what we were feeling because I don't know if he's going to live to the end of this year.
Well, that would be a classic because one of the things that can happen in a woman's chart, the sun energy in some measure always reflects the male figure in her life, right? So and Pluto's the lord of the underworld. You know, I'll repeat this again because this is funny. Astronomers typically don't like astrologers because since in the Middle Ages the deep thinkers were astrologers and astronomers. Then that fell out of favor. Now astrologers do their thing and astronomers, they laugh. But they always pick the perfect, like they could call it Planet X. They call it back in the day. Let's call it Pluto. It's Pluto. Or like in 2005, they called it Eris, the warrioress. And now they wonder why women are rising, and gaining more and more power. And it's an unstoppable force. You can delay it, you can push back. It's going to happen. It's why we're going to get a woman president. I don't know if we'll get a woman president right away, but it's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable. And when people realize that women do as good or better job than men, then women will get more and more positions of power, as they should, There's no problem with that. But that's reflected in the astrology, and the Pluto thing being a force that destroys and recreates, and the fact that it's the lord of the underworld. You fill in the gaps, right? It's literally the lord of
So
death.
do you think Amy Klobuchar could win as governor of Minnesota?
Okay, let me see if I ever do a chart for her. But yeah, no, I have her picture, but not her chart. Okay, so I got to look her up. I would say, sight unseen around charts, yes, because Minnesota. You mean like she'd be running against a Republican, right? Presumably.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that state, with what they're doing to it now, they're not going to have a Republican in a long time. That's a problem.
Hands down.
No, I mean, she's well known. And speaking of women rising in power, we saw it in Virginia too. This is going to happen more and more. Amy Klobuchar is a long-term, very experienced, and she's smart. She's totally tuned in. Sometimes certain women rise, especially in the Trump orbit, where you think, like the dog abuser. I mean, that woman. I'm sorry, but you kind of wonder, Jesus. And now people know too that a lot of what's going on with her is Corey Lewandowski. He's the one running the policy.
And also they're living in tax-funded housing on the military base, just because they could. And also, she required a meeting with Trump and Wiles. She went in there and they pushed Stephen Miller out in the hallway. They wouldn't let him come in because she probably knew he would bully her. But she's telling Trump, I'm doing everything he's telling me to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so in a way, you see again, this thing which separately, the Epstein files, because you were mentioning, we got to get to that because you mentioned already some things that have come out. But one of the things that is totally true about Trump, among the many, planetary tornadoes he's having to deal with, is this whole question with women. And you notice that directly or indirectly, they keep popping up, whether they're on his team or they're outside, they're pressing on him. And that's not going to end. That's going to continue. He'll take his last breath, and that's what he'll remember, that this is not 1700. We're not there anymore. That's not how it works, No, it's different. It's a new world, and you can't go back to 1955 when women were basically following their husbands. They don't do that anymore.
I also want to say I really do think that ICE will not be able to go into the Super Bowl.
Are they trying to?
Yeah.
Well, they're trying to go into Milan too at the Olympics.
Yeah, no, are you kidding? They won't let them in.
It's so ridiculous.
But I really feel they won't. And listen, I'm going to tell you, got a little change of heart. I was totally anti-Seahawks because of the way they treated the Niners when we tried to get season tickets, playoff tickets. They wouldn't let us have the tickets because they can't. And they were kind of mean. But anyway, so then I find out that the guy who owned the Seahawks is dead and a woman's running it now. Apparently, she gives a lot of money to the blue people. She gives towards the hate towards ICE. She does everything she can. In fact, they have a song the Seahawks sing against ICE. But in the meantime, Patriots, he gives to that bigwig. He gives to the ballroom and all that stuff. I said, shoot. Now I have to root for the Seahawks.
You have to root for the Seahawks. Yeah. Well, actually, not to bring you out too much from your cloud or anything, but the sister, the woman is the sister of the guy that
of the
died,
owner.
and she's actually known to be a really difficult person.
Really?
Otherwise, yeah, she's really complicated, and but okay, it's true that yeah, she's really supporting the blue cause, and these days,
Well,
you,
she
you know,
might be one of those ones that she doesn't like the way Trump treats
oh,
women.
for sure, for sure. So that's totally true, and I mean, football is a savage game. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole thing is nuts, and the
Can you
Seahawks, they play hard.
pause 1 second? Someone's at my door. 1 second.
Yeah. So you were saying, I mean, one thing that we mentioned the Super Bowl and
Oh
ICE
yeah.
going in there. Yeah. Again, the zone we're in, little controversies, big ones. The point is not favorable to him. Period. Right.
Yeah.
So, but his nature is to stir it up, push into things, and I think what it's doing is it's just creating more and more alarm in the not just in the people that have always opposed him, which is now easily 60% of the country, but in his own coalition and the people around him. And so all of this is not good news,
Yeah.
for him. For us, it's better, but still, I mean, I always remind people, and my understanding of things is that even though you wish it could just change completely right away, that's just unlikely. It's unlikely
Yeah.
that you'll be happy until you get more daylight, than we're getting now. It's just that simple. You gotta
And we're getting a
stay
lot
with
of
it.
daylight. Dan just wrote me and said a lot of nasty news is coming out.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
told him I'll call him after you and I are done. I'll get the
You
411.
know, by the way, including that, I didn't know this, uh, so I wasn't tracking absolutely every single thing. One of the things that came out is that today in our zone, I don't know if they did this in your area. In our area here, there was a kind of a boycott to not go to the
Yes.
stores, all the
Don't
stores.
go don't go
Yeah,
shopping or nothing.
correct. And now we have the King's March too, that is going to be coming up at the end of March, right? The King's rally, the No
That's
Kings,
gonna be huge.
right? And odds, I bet that one will be bigger than the
Bigger.
previous ones. And I bet they'll start talking about how we've reached that percentage, that there's this magical percentage of the population. When you reach that, you've reached what people call the stop on authoritarianism, because it means the public is mobilized enough, to stop it. Now that's again, in a way, could
And
be
I
a
know
meaningless
Rachel
statistic.
Maddow and Lawrence O'Donnell, they keep telling us, you guys are winning. You're winning. Your protests are winning.
Yeah, no, and you gotta say too that in part is because of how horrible these people are. They're
Yeah.
and one other thing too, because I keep harping on this, but this is so important because it's also astrological, right?
Okay.
It's the whole talk of Neptune. It means many things, especially like if you look at it on the low end. Neptune is the liars and the gaslighters like Trump who try to con you constantly, right?
Yeah.
But Neptune, one of Neptune's biggest functions is anything that is projected outward in a video or a recording, anything that you're seeing. And the media now is pretty much all that. That's what we're in all the time. And this is not working for him. This is not working for him because they keep showing images he doesn't like. That's why they pull back in Minnesota. And, he's trying to tell people, yeah, it's okay to shoot someone in the back 10 times after he's dead already. Like, how is that a good look? How does that even
Well,
work?
you
And they're
should
trying
have
to,
never had a gun. Now you got the NRA over on your ass. The NRA's furious now.
exactly. I saw this thing on Piers Morgan. He invited two MAGA people, and he had Tim Miller and Brian Tyler Cohen. That was a big mistake. He shouldn't have done that because those guys are smart and they're going to push back. They got into a major shouting match, and the two, Tim Miller and Brian Tyler Cohen were saying, "Oh, we love how you guys, your version of masculinity isn't the guy trying to help the woman; it's the thugs putting bullets in his head, putting bullets in his body, like 10 times. That's your masculinity. That's your version of what it means to be a man." I mean, it's ridiculous. The poor guy was trying to help the woman. That's what you
Yeah.
do. That's what you do when you're a normal man, with your manly
Uh,
power. It's ridiculous. It's true. So then this doesn't
No,
look good.
no. Who gives these people the right to claim to take someone's life?
Well, I know
It's not like
nobody.
he was murdering the woman and they stopped him.
Right, right. Yeah, no, and I talked with someone who knows about these things, about what happens with state charges and so on. And this person was saying it's really hard to get out of it. The people that did this to Renee Good and to Alex, it's his name, Preddy, right? Yeah. So the way it was put was statute of limitations on this doesn't expire. Conditions just have to change. And there is no federal pardon. There's no way out. It's only conditioned. Like when you say immunity, it's not full immunity. It's conditional immunity.
Not if you're committing a crime.
Well, like in any charge, they would look at, was your behavior reasonable? It's not. You can't, because the video, this is the point about video and Neptune and how when a planet is turning on you. How do you argue that in the first case, in the first case we saw, that the line was he was fearing for his life? That's not what the video shows. He's got a cell phone, he's got a gun, and he takes 3 shots at the person. No, that looks, even if you have no other evidence, you just present that case, any jury would say that's not reasonable. And then how do you make a reasonable case with the other one? You can't. So the point
And
is,
by the way, they took his gun. It's on video. The
yeah,
guy
exactly.
got the gun. He was running off with it, and then they
Exactly.
shoot him 10 times.
Yeah, and someone that just popped into my mind that's critical around this because of the astrology too. He's starting to lose Joe Rogan. That guy has a big, big following, and he keeps saying, this is nuts, this doesn't make sense. Even if you just peel off, I don't know, a couple of million, this is lethal. This makes it impossible to win elections because he's pulling in a lot, he's affecting a lot of these, especially young guys. That's why every time they take a poll now, he's lost all those people, the people that were supporting him in 2024. That's why the independents are like at 70%, blue now, which is why he's so desperate to do something about the vote count, because he knows if the votes are counted, he's got no shot. That's where I'm saying that when you do those kinds of things and a planet like Saturn is blocking you, you can try. Sure, give it a crack, do what you need to do. But no, the answer is no. How, I don't know yet. We'll be seeing it as it develops. But that's what it is, and I'm assuming.
And the fact that Miller and Kristi Noem are on the outs, he's evil. He'll try to figure out something or whisper in Trump's ear. He'll try to figure out something. But here's the deal. Kristi Noem will blab.
Kristi Noem, which?
Kristi Noem will blab.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's already blabbing.
And Pam Bondi knows all the dirty laundry. That's why he can't get rid of her.
Yeah, no, exactly, because this is what he betrays people. His way of doing things is he gets them to do what he wants them to do. They are amenable, and then when it doesn't work, he says it's their fault. She already apparently said, I was following orders from Trump and Stephen Miller.
There you go.
And, by the way, Stephen Miller backed up a bit. He's never done this. He said, there were some procedural problems. He admitted something about the way it was being done. That's another tell that things aren't going so well.
I mean, it's murder in the first degree right in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to spin it.
Yeah, and Miller's chart, there's a big planetary station of Saturn in July, deadlocked into, it's not a good zone. That's where you feel totally, congested, held back, all of that. And we haven't even, by the way, now that we're in 2026, we don't have to go into a long thing about this, but a couple of people that come to mind that are going to have some problems this year are Elon Musk and Tucker Carlson. They've got very complicated Saturn situations. And with Musk, it could even be, as well as some big setback to his public profile, it could even be his health, because now he's become a total drug addict, and he's,
my friend I just did a read with on her show, she feels like he's not going to live much longer.
Well, it's possible because, and this is something that you see so often with people. It's like you see it in movies and you think, gee, this is interesting. And even though it's known, people keep doing this. They'll show you a person, all of a sudden they start drinking more than normal or doing some kind of drug thing, and then their life collapses. Well, is that so complicated? So this guy was sort of normal up to the point when it became known that he was a ketamine abuser. And now he talks crazy. It's like he's out of his mind. The thing
But
with
did you
Twitter and
see
all the rest.
that Truth Show Social that Trump just did, I think yesterday on him? He said, Elon knew that I wasn't for EVs. Since I got here, he's known that that's not my thing. I don't mind EVs, but I don't think people should be required to own them. And then he said, with all the taxpayer funded contracts he gets, if we were to take those away from him to save us some money, what do you think would happen to him? Do you think he would move back to South Africa? He put that. Which tells me we didn't get any hit that there was trouble in paradise. Tells me he's saying something or doing something that's upsetting Trump. Trump might have to shake him loose.
No, and the thing is, you also wonder, okay, so how there's this guy with all this brain power, because he's probably pretty smart, high IQ, he's got all this money. If I'm going to give you 250 million, okay, I would sit down with you and say, here are my conditions. You want 250? Sure, I'll give you 250 million, but A, B, C, D, I want these things. Instead, he goes on this Doge thing. He's going to transform the government. He clearly doesn't understand how big a job that is and how you have to do it in a more, systematic way. So he's not thinking straight either. So you've got basically a circus of clowns, everyone is pulling in different directions. People are stabbing each other in the back. And then there's the astrology. I mean, now he's been with, ever since he left, it was curious. He left the government. He had Saturn during the period when he was doing, the Doge thing, then Jupiter in his sign, right? But now, especially in the summer, it leaves, and then it's the Saturn pressing in. And it turns out that in his chart, Saturn is in the health axis, right? And you don't want to tempt that planet. The older you are, if you're throwing, and it's badly configured to the planet of drugs. It's classic. Like the astrology advice would be, don't do that. It includes alcohol, too much. Like you gotta moderate. And ketamine is not a moderating thing. Ketamine is a powerful drug. So it can probably play tricks with your system. That's what happened to the guy that used to be in, remember in Friends?
Yeah, Matthew Perry.
Because then they start doing this thing where then the ketamine maybe doesn't work as well, and then they start bringing in even bigger, things to be able to sleep and this kind of thing, and eventually you stop your heart, like what happened to Michael Jackson. He was at a point where he couldn't sleep. Don't you remember?
He was on ketamine?
No, in his case it was propofol, I think. But you're getting into things. These are things that are used as anesthetics, to put you to sleep. You're not supposed to use them at night to sleep. No, that's bad. It's bad advice. It's a bad idea. It could result in
they
a
said that
problem.
Matthew Perry was paying $50,000 a pop for a bunch of ketamine, and they were just giving it to him because
Well,
they wanted the money.
this is where you have to do enough astrology to realize that both when you're seeing video, and it's a little tricky to explain why this would be so, but ketamine and anesthetics, all of that is Neptune too, as well as videos are Neptune. If the Neptune is the one badly configured, you're going to get in trouble. That's the logic of that, right? Yeah. So.
Well, thank you, my friend.
No, it was great as always, and let's do another one. Let's do another one soon if you're amenable.
You just tell me. Yeah.
Yeah, this month soon. It'd be good to meet before the eclipse, which would be like in a week or so, if you're up to it.
Okay. Sure,
All right.
I'll be up to it.
We'll say goodbye for now.
Bye for now.
Everyone.